Greetings again everyone, and today another inexpensive and ultra-wide angle full-frame manual focus lens for mirrorless cameras has winged its way into my testing lab from China, the new Pergear 14mm f2.8. I took it on my Christmas vacation to get a really good feel for how it works, so you'll definitely see a bit of a Christmas vibe to my sample pictures today. It's available on L-mount, Nikon Z, Canon RF and Sony E-mount full-frame mirrorless cameras, and it's the Sony version I'll be testing out today. Its price of $270 in the US or £226 here in the UK is very low, so if this thing turns out to be any good, it might be a really nice option, especially considering that extremely wide-angle lenses can get away with manual focus more easily. And extremely wide is what this thing certainly is. 14mm on a full-frame camera is so gapingly wide that it's actually a little tricky to compose your images, but when faced with a beautiful landscape, nightscape or indoor building, your resulting pictures can be incredible as a result. I'd like to thank the Pergear company for sending me a copy of this lens for evaluation, although as usual this is a totally independent review. The lens itself is not very big, but at 600 grams it's certainly a little heavy. It is metallic but not weather sealed. As I suggested, this is a fully manual lens, manual focus and manual aperture control. At the rear, the focus ring turns extremely smoothly, but was not quite calibrated correctly on my copy of the lens. Still, it's really easy to focus a 14mm lens manually, so wasn't really a problem. The lens displayed very little breathing when changing focus, as you can see here. The aperture ring has gentle clicks to it, which I really like, but they are spaced in a rather confusing way. 3 clicks between f2.8 and f4, then 2 clicks to f5.6, then 2 clicks but a large gap to f8, then just 1 click each for the darker apertures. It's a slightly sloppy design there really. But the lens does come with one excellent feature, an 82mm filter thread. For landscape photographers, that is a dream come true. I was able to get a breakthrough X2 polarizing filter onto there without any vignetting issues at all, but any more or any thicker filters than that might be a problem in the corners of your images. The lens comes with a metallic hood that screws in place. That's fine, but a bayonet mount would be a lot quicker to use. Overall, the build quality of the lens is a little quirky, but I'd put up with anything just for that 82mm filter thread on a 14mm full-frame lens. Okay, let's take a look at image quality now. I'm testing it today on a full-frame camera, my 42MP Sony a7R III. No in-camera corrections are available with this lens. In the middle of the image we see very good sharpness straight from f2.8. Contrast is just okay. Corner image quality is definitely softer and darker, but actually you can still make out an image here. f4 sees a small improvement, but stop down to f5.6 and corner image quality actually becomes quite good. Here are f8 and f11. Stop down as far as f16 though, and the image begins to look softer due to diffraction. Overall here, I'd say the lens's image quality is acceptable at f2.8 if you don't need super sharp corners, and very good from f5.6. Considering the lens's low price, that's not a bad result really. Okay, let's move on and look at distortion and vignetting. Normally, on an inexpensive ultra-wide angle lens, you'd expect to see tons of barrel distortion, but happily, there's barely any to be seen. At f2.8, there's a bucket load of vignetting though. Those corners are super dark. Stopping down to f4 or f5.6 will brighten them a little, but actually I'm just so pleased to see that low distortion, especially on a lens where in-camera corrections are not available. A real weakness of the lens is its rather long minimum focus distance of 45cm. You can totally forget about getting pictures of small subjects here. Image quality at that closest distance is no worse than at normal distances though. Let's see how the lens performs against bright lights now. The lens displays a smorgasbord of different flaring effects here when faced with bright light. Unfortunately, especially when that light lies just outside the edge of your image, it can be a real problem even when shooting indoors, so keep that hood on the front of your lens. While we're working in the dark, let's check for chroma smearing. A little bit of smearing is visible on bright points of light and can be seen in the corners of your images. It's about the same at f4, but stop down to f5.6 and that smearing is gone. Let's zoom out and look for sun stars now. They are visible but subtle at f5.6. They don't really improve much from here as you stop down. I'll talk to you about the quality of this lens's bokeh, but its extreme wide angle and long minimum focus distance mean you can't really get any, to be honest, so that's about it for this review. The Pergear 14mm is not perfect, but it does offer some nice features: low distortion, reasonable sharpness, a very useful 82mm filter thread for landscape photography, and of course a super low price. Its main issue is that flaring against bright lights, which will sneak up on you while shooting, seemingly at random, forcing you to shoot with the lens hood. And I hated the long minimum focus distance, so not perfect, but perfectly fine for the price you're paying, and so considering it's good value for photographers on a budget, it does come recommended. I wish Christmas took place at different times of the year across the UK, so I could always go and get pretty sample pictures. If you found this review helpful, or any of my other reviews, and you want to see them keep coming, then check out my Patreon page down below, where supporters can find all kinds of exclusive bonus content. Ciao for now, everybody.